Good evening, everybody. We have a super exciting live tonight. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. We got a special guest. He is somebody that I highly respect, someone I look up to a lot. And in fact, he is the teacher that I did my first live with, my first Instagram live. This was about 1 year ago when I was very new to Instagram. Ryuichi English, hey, how you doing, my man? It's great to have you with us. Thank you for joining the live. And our special guest is here. He's here, the man himself. All right, let's get him in the call with us. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. Hi from Turkey, Tate06. Thank you for joining the live all the way from Turkey. It's great to have you with us. All right, we're going to get our... And in the meantime, I want to know, where are all of you wonderful, beautiful people watching this live from right now? Hello, Teacher Will.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Does it work?
No, it doesn't work. I can't hear you saying testing 1 2 3.
Really? Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, how you doing, Teacher Will? You've had a pretty big day, I'm guessing.
You know what? First of all, let me say I was listening to you before you added me to the call, and I did not realize that I was your first live Instagram. That is awesome. I'm honored, and I'm glad that you said yes. I did not know that. I knew it was like about a year and a half ago, but I never knew that. So wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it was. That's one thing that I always remember you by. Because I was super nervous when I joined the whole Instagram scene. Like I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just holding my phone up in front of me and just talking at it. And suddenly I get a message from this super charismatic, confident teacher, being super polite and respectful and saying, "Teacher David, I'd like to have a live with you." I'm like, "What? I'd like to have a live with you? What are you talking about?"
Because well, first of all, your content information is amazing. And second of all, I think, just personally, professionally, but more so personally, I really believe it's kind of like, my learners know this, my extended family know this. It's like we learn together. And my thing is that for me, I don't care about professional right now because I've had a really good day. But personally, I just think it's a personal moral that I have, that I try to give back, and I try to, if I see somebody that is engaging, that has good content, I think it's fair for me to like make a contribution, because in the learning community, personally, I don't think that anything is created. We all have our own particular ways of doing it and the way that we do it, and I don't compete. And my thing is, when I started this little journey on social media, whether it's good or bad, there have been people on the road that have helped me. So if I'm able to help somebody, then hey. So, last point, get off this stuff, the man and all this other stuff. Come on, bro. I'm shy. You're the man because you did an amazing insight, and I really publicly, I thanked you personally over a private DM message, but learners and extended family, this guy, he's the last video that I did on Insight, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you see it. I will tag it or I'll post it again, because Teacher David had some real lifelong experience that are not only applicable to life, but applicable to English, particularly about the fact when he was talking about money, when he was talking about his attitude with respect to learning. So, again, I just want to publicly thank you for doing it. You didn't have to do it, and so hopefully, my learners and your learners get a stupid word, but I hope they get some insight behind it, because I think, those are some powerful things that you said. Ah! Sorry.
It's about.
Sorry,
it was so powerful that it knocked your phone over.
I know, right? I'm sorry. But no, again, I wanted to publicly thank you for that, because I really do appreciate it, and I hope the learners, take the time out of their busy schedules to, do what they need to do and govern themselves accordingly. So thank you publicly for that.
Teacher Will, I don't know what to say. Honestly, it was a privilege for me. I consider it a privilege to be able to make that video and to be able to work with you on that. to be in the same video as Teacher Will. You know, like we had the screen switching from, or the
Yeah,
camera
yeah,
switching between you
yeah.
and me. I love that.
That was Teacher
Um,
David's idea, by the way, learners and stuff. But no, I mean, I think no. Again, thank you. You know, and my thing is, I'm like, listen, man, I don't really keep. I just want to be of service. I think a lot of times people, I don't believe my own press. I've said that to you publicly, and I've said that to you privately. You know what I
mhm.
mean? I appreciate all of the admiration and the respect if I get that, but I don't believe my own press because I think the thing is, you know, those. I just try to be humble and try to change the face of English, and I don't walk into thinking that you know, everybody likes everything that I do because they don't. And I don't think that everybody respects me. It would be nice if they do, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean life works that way. It just is what it is. You can do
Yeah.
a lot of good things right, you know, and do one thing's bad. And in social media, it's, need I remind, in case learners you didn't see it, case in point, Teacher David did a really powerful video about, I don't know if it was like 4 months or 5 months ago. And I just want learners to think about this. You know, he did a video with respect to President Trump, and some of the mail and the messages that he got was kind of like, at least for me, was kind of interesting. And I thought the video was so powerful was because the fact is, regardless of not if you like the man or don't like the man, and personally I don't like the man, I respect the office of president, right? But I thought that that was really powerful because at least for me, at least in that video, is that you were challenging people to think about another way, whether or not you agree with that or don't agree with that. And personally, that's not even my business. But how is that applicable at least to life or to English or in terms of when I think of concepts of what I'm doing what I'm trying to do with Ask Teacher Will? It's kind of like I hear a lot of people a lot of times, yo, you got to respect me for who I am and what I am and how I identify myself and my culture, my religion, my nationality, my sexuality, all those things, right? All right, that's good. But yet, you post a video on there and some of those comments were vitriol. Now, if I was not Ask Teacher Will, you know, because that's a side of me, and if I was straight up William, I would have made a comment. So I thought that video was very powerful because at least you exposed your learners and you expose your followers to an aspect of thinking out something. And I think that's important because, at least for me, in terms of what I do, is I try to you know, teach English, teach life, teach respect, or whatever like that. How am I going to ask for acceptance of someone, of acceptance of myself, and yet I'm not able to give that to others, nor do I even think about it. And that's, I mean, you've done a lot of good videos, but that video I thought was really, at least to me, powerful.
I'm actually not entirely sure which video it was. Was it a video or was it the photograph of me in front of the Trump Hotel?
I thought it was I'm referencing that one. I thought it was the photo or the video, but I'm referencing that, what you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, I remember the one. That was when I was in Hawaii. The second time I've ever been in the United States, which was last year in December. I was in Hawaii for 5 days, and I was just kind of randomly roaming through the streets, and I see this big ass building with with the word Trump written on it. And I investigate a little bit further, and turns out that that building belongs to the president of the United States. And I'm not an American citizen, so to a large extent, American politics doesn't affect me, and I'm pretty
Right,
indifferent about it. But
right,
as an observer, the American politics and whatever happens in the U.S. is world news, right? So American local news is world news more often than not. So I can't help but kind of be an observer, voluntarily or not. And so with something that's, I guess, so high profile, for lack of a better term, that was probably the closest I've been to a person as high profile as that, the president of the United States, just, being close to a
right.
building that he happens to own. And I gotta be honest, regardless of his politics and my own political ideas, I did get pretty excited standing in front of that building, so I took a picture.
Yeah,
And
no, I mean, I think, again, I think, you know, I mean, as a side note, I love politics. I mean, I was an English major and a history major, and I love politics. I typically
Mhm.
don't talk about politics on live Instagrams because I think that, you know, part of me is in like, it causes too many controversies, number one, or have a
Mhm.
possibility to do it. And number two is that I don't necessarily know if people are, not all people, but most people are intellectually capable of having conversations as it relates to politics or culture or religion or things of that nature. That's typically why I stay away from it. Doesn't mean that I don't have my opinions. I think that people, so for example, as an American, again, I don't particularly like Trump. I respect the office of President of the United States. I don't like the things that he said, but again, I think what's interesting, at least when I, hear people make comments, and those comments are valid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think what I try to do is I try personally and professionally to recognize two things. Number one is there's always another side to the story. People
Mm-hmm.
say the truth. Well, some people make the argument there's your truth, my truth, and
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the middle is the truth. That's
Mm-hmm.
number one. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that for me, it's kind of like being able to look at something objectively. So again, final comment on President Trump is that, in my humble opinion,
Mm-hmm.
he said some crazy things that certainly wouldn't come out of my mouth. And I can understand the United States being, one of the major powers in the world,
Mm-hmm.
particularly economically, globally, things of that nature. And as an
Yep.
American, someone who has a passport and proud to be an American, I can be very objective, or try to be very objective, and say, yo, you know what, my country's done good things or bad things. I did a
Mm-hmm.
whole month on America about that. But what your video reminded me of is that I'm kind of like, okay, for
Mm-hmm.
those learners out there that get so passionate and angry with things that President Trump has said, which I don't necessarily condone,
Mm-hmm.
what I would say is, or I thought about is, I'm like, yo, take a look in the mirror. Have you
Yeah.
said those things about other people that don't identify with you, either in your country or your culture? Or
Yeah.
maybe even when someone said, have you said those things to yourself or to your family members or to your friends when someone's not looking? And
Yeah.
so your video, the picture, excuse me, what's powerful for me is because social media is a wonderful thing. It has its good and its bad, and you touched about that on your video. But yet it's interesting is that some of the vitriol and some of the comments that you got was like, oh, okay, but then we respect everyone and we tolerate everyone. Okay, let's
Yeah.
take, at least for me, what I try to do is take a look in the mirror. And that's not meant to preach, because I'm not a preacher and I'm no better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yet I like to try to be objective. So it's kind of like, yo, before you take, and I've said this a lot of times on stories that I say, it's kind of like, yo, before you start criticizing somebody else, live in someone else's shoes for a moment, or understand their different perspectives, because everybody
Mm.
does not think like you do. You
Yeah.
might want them to. You might want, example, I might want everybody in William Land to look like me, act like me, talk like me, dance like me, write like me, learn English like me. Yeah, I wish, but until then, oh. So anyway, I digress, but I'm sorry about that.
But I want to get started. So far, we haven't actually properly introduced you. So far, everybody who's watching, who's never met you, just knows you as the first person I ever did a live with, and that's about.
I'll make it very quick, Teacher David. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. My name is Teacher Will. I'm from America. I'm a native English speaker, but who cares about that? Because English is a global international language. I'm currently in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where I teach face-to-face, and I'm on Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat. I try to make videos dealing with English maybe in a different way that you might be used to, and I'm glad that Teacher David invited me on the call. That's me.
Hey, great, Teacher Will. Right at the start, you mentioned your latest insight video, which is an insight into me and me as a teacher. But when I was making that video, I thought that your questions were really well thought out, and I realized that these are things that I've never asked you. I've never asked
Okay.
you, and I'm sure you've probably talked about it at some point in your lives or in your videos, but I haven't seen those lives or videos. So I want to ask
Okay.
you some of those questions, straight up right now.
Oh
If
God.
that,
Okay, I hate talking about myself. Okay, go ahead. No problem.
all right. Um,
Before Teacher David, before
yeah,
before you do that, and I have
yeah.
I seriously, I'll do it. I'm your guest. I just want to briefly, for those people that didn't see it, tell them why they should watch that video. Why would it help them with respect to their English? Because I think a lot of times people are like, and maybe this is me, which is could be me, but I think a lot of times people are like, Teacher Will, what the hell? Sorry, what are you talking about? Like, that ain't got nothing to do with English. What are you doing? So why, as a learner, if I'm learning English, why should I watch that insight video? I want you to plug yourself.
All right, listen. Teacher Will, you're the guest. Is it okay if I go on a little bit of a rant? Is it okay?
What are you talking about? You're hosted. It's of course. What are you talking about? It's your hosted. I'm your guest. Do what you need to do.
I know, but I've got to treat you like a guest. And
whatever, brother. This ain't the first live Instagram we had, so do what you need to do.
All right, okay. Especially in the last 1 week, honestly, so everybody watching this, dear learners, we love you guys, right? The reason why we do what we do is for you and for you to benefit and for you all to learn and improve your English. This is the same with me, with Teacher Will, with all of the teachers on social media. We spend our time making these videos, putting it online so you can watch them completely for free, and we get nothing out of it immediately or directly. Despite that, I'm sure this Teacher Will experiences this too. I get messages, direct messages, every single day. As much as I want to reply to each and every one of you, the questions that you ask me are things that I have talked about in videos countless times. And the reason why we make videos is so that we can talk about it, we can explain it in detail once, we can put it up in video format, and it can be watched by hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people all over the world for free. The information is out there. It's available to you. It's literally at your fingertips. But still, people message and ask they ask to be spoon-fed that information. And quite honestly, all of us teachers on social media, we don't have the time to reply to each and every one of you directly, especially not if it's going to be talking about things that we've already addressed. So with all of the most common questions that you have for me, specifically to me, how do I become fluent? How do I be more confident? How do I get over my shyness? What do I love about teaching? What do I not love about teaching? What is it like for me being a teacher? What is my world like outside of Instagram? All of that, you can get an insight into all of that by watching this video. So please head over to Teacher Will's YouTube channel. Teacher Will is the handsome gentleman on the bottom of your screen right now. Head over to his YouTube channel, watch the video called Insight. An insight is a deeper look into something, and you're going to get an insight into my world as a teacher.
Cool. Thank you for plugging yourself. I appreciate that. All right, Brother David. What do
you asked me to. All right.
No, I think it's very important. I just think it's very important. I don't think there's any shame. Yeah. You spent time to do something nice for me, and I think oftentimes, if I could give you some feedback, because I am your ghost. I mean, not ghost. Excuse me. I could be a ghost. Am I dead? I don't know.
You can be whatever you want, Teacher Will.
No, David, listen, I think, you're in my interpretation, you're very humble. And I think the thing is sometimes is like, you're a very humble man. You're a very nice man and you do things. And my suggestion for you at that moment is like, you damn right you should plug yourself because you didn't have a chance. You don't normally do that. That's not within your character. So I was just having you do that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Pleasure was, well, I enjoyed that. It feels nice plugging myself. I should do it more often.
Yes, you should. I'm sorry. No, do what you want. I'm sorry. Do what you want. All right, I'm ready for your questions. What you got?
Everybody watching this everybody watching this wants to ask you this question. They've been studying English, they know the grammar rules, and they understand what they read, but they're not able to speak it. Why is that? What do they need to do?
Oh, good question. So I'll answer the question like this. I think it's kind of like riding a bicycle or walking. I did an Instagram story on it.
Mm.
Listen, if I know grammar and I know vocabulary words and yet instill the fact that I have a fear or an apprehension and I want to improve that, I have to do it. I have to actually speak. I think a lot of times, and I might be repetitive, so if my learners are on the call and I apologize, I think the thing is this, if I did a Instagram story, it's funny, I did a game night yesterday afternoon and people didn't want to remember this, but that's okay. It's kind of like if you want to speak, you got to MMG. You have to make a plan. I sound stupid. You have to make a plan. You have to map it out, and you have to get it done. So how does that relate to speaking? Oftentimes, I think what happens is, and I'll be quick, oftentimes I think what happens is people get focused on their problems. I have a problem on speaking. I don't know how to speak. Okay, that's great. That's a problem. But then what's the solution? In order for you to speak, you have to first of all recognize that, hey, you have a problem and you identify a solution. How do you do it? Well, that's your plan. Then you map it out. You have to determine ways in which you're going to speak and get over that confidence, because a lot of it has to do with confidence and mindset. So making a plan, how can you speak? You can record yourself. You can speak in front of others. You can create or be part of a group. Okay, you can find a private tutor. Teacher David teaches online. You can go to a language, all right. So that's mapping out. That's mapping out a plan, setting a course, and getting it done is what 96.8 said. I was like, getting it done. You have to practice, but before practice, I want to say getting it done requires movement and action. The only reason why I believe that when I was learning French, the only way that I got better, the only way that I got fluent was because I had to get me out of the way and do it. I had to apply action. I had to actually practice. I had to do it. So therefore, to end your question, hey, you have to apply action. You have to speak. No speaking, no results. No action, no results. Is it hard? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. But yet, you're ultimately in control of your own learning.
Yeah, that's good, Teacher Will. We like that. Now, I'm going to ask you this next question. And this is what you asked me, actually. If I was your student, I'd say to you, Teacher Will, I'm shy. I'm afraid to speak English. What do I do? How do I get over that?
Well, first, I would recognize your fear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, number one, I would do two things. Number one, I have to recognize your fear because I recognize that fear is real.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing that I would do is I would relate it to myself. Hey, I had fear learning another language. A lot of times people think because I'm a native English speaker, I don't know another language. That's not true. I know French. I want to learn a couple other languages. So I would use a personal story. Hey, I had fear when I was learning French. I had fear when I was making my first video. I had fear when I first did my live Instagram. So that's real. And then what do I have to do? Well, I have to make a decision. Again, to me, again, I'm not trying to make it simplistic. That's a problem. What's my solution? I got two things. I could do two things. If I'm shy, I could stay where I'm at. I could make excuses. But then the other thing, which I think is more productive, is that, hey, I can dare in myself and apply action and just imagine that it would be something better. So if I have shyness, then I have to recognize, you know what, I'm shy, figure out why I'm shy. Is it because, hey, you know what, I'm scared of making a mistake? Really, ladies and gentlemen, part of making mistakes is part of the English learning process. It's the same, hey, Ghost, it's the same with your native language, you don't remember it. So I have to recognize it's okay to make mistakes, and you know what, I gotta freaking practice. I have to do it. Or I could just sit back, excuse my English, on my dairy air, and just make the excuse that it's somebody else's problem. It's a state of mind. And does that mean that it's hard? Or does it mean it's hard? It sometimes can be hard. But that's why I said a long time ago, listen, I have to get me out of the way. I have to constantly, when I'm shy or having fear or having doubt, and for some people say, oh, I can't. You got to train your brain. So I did a video on it on YouTube. You got to train your brain. So you can get over your shyness only if you believe and you put actions to what you're actually saying you're going to do.
Yeah. That's good, Teacher Will. All right. Well, Teacher Will, the last live we did was about money. And
yes,
we didn't get to finish talking about that, but I have some things that I'd love to ask you.
Money. Yes,
All
money.
right. So you asked me in the last live about what my attitude towards money is, and I'm more frugal. There's the type of people who get a kick out of spending money, and there's the type of people who get a kick out of saving money, and I'm actually the latter. How about
Okay.
you? What are you like in your natural tendencies in your approach to money?
Money, argent, flus, dinero. Let me say this. First and foremost, I don't think that money buys love. I
Hmm.
don't think that. I think money, for me, allows one the ability or the flexibility to take care of themselves, loved ones, and has a certain influence. That's my personal opinion. But I don't think that money buys love, number one. There's
Yeah.
some people that think it does, but I personally don't think it does. I do think that money is important. Now, with respect to your question in terms of as long as you obtain that money in what I'm going to define in a way that is morally, lawfully right, right? I ain't judging nobody if they decide to sell their bodies or drugs or whatever like that because I'm not in that situation, right? So I would never
Yeah.
say what I never would never do. Thank God I've never had to sell myself, never had to sell drugs or whatever of that nature. So with that being said, what type of person am I am? I think that it depends. Later, I will generally answer your question by saying this. I am less frugal than you are, but I understand that money is like anything else. I try to spend my money wisely. I would not define myself as a frugal person, perhaps as you would, and I don't think there's anything the matter with that. What I would say is that I spend money um, after I save it. I believe that money is important. I believe that you should understand the rules of money. I believe that you should understand that money is unless you're living on a deserted island. It, I believe that money you need to understand financial literacy and investment of how money works. That's why I did videos on it. Plus, I come from a business background. So I don't believe that it is the most important. Hadra, I don't believe that it is the most important thing in life. I don't. I believe the most important thing in life, at least for me, is my health, because without health, I have nothing. For me
Hmm.
personally, I don't believe it's the most important thing in my life, but I do believe that, at least for me, I've taken steps in terms of the fact that, hey, I need to understand the financial rules of money. I need to understand financial literacy. I believe in saving for a rainy day. And so you're frugal. I would call myself thrifty. I will spend money
Hmm.
on I'll spend money on a vacation, definitely. Like
Okay.
I will spend money on a vacation. I believe that it's important if you have the opportunity that you pay yourself first, that you save yourself first, and then, there are people, that are religious or whatever, and they give like the zakah, or they give money to charity, or they give money to tithes or whatever like that if they have a religious affiliation. That's fine
Hmm.
if you want to do that. For me is I'm like, yo, if like I have an old philosophy, if I get 100 real, you know what, save 10% for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will typically spend money on a vacation, or I will spend money on a loved one if I think it's going to make his or her day, or family. But I am not the type of person where, for example, I have I have a very good friend of mine and a family member that will spend $1,000 on shoes. That ain't me. I don't find that to be of value.
Okay.
Not knocking it. It's just for me. I don't spend money on a car. I have a regular car. And even if I was a millionaire, which one day I might be, you would not see me probably in a Beamer or a Mercedes or a Bentley, because that money could be invested to help myself, to help family members, and to help the community as a whole. So I am thrifty when it comes to money. But if it's a vacation, oh, yes, I'm spending it. Um, but no, one of the last comment, that evolved. I mean, I grew up in a family where it was kind of like, you know what, yo, you know the value of money. But I think what happened in my life is that I had one job where I got paid once a month. So I got paid the last day of the month when I was like, what, 20, 25 or whatever I was. And so that taught me how to budget. And then my uncle gave me a book. I think I shared this with you.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful books I read, he said, boy, I'm going to give you something that's going to change your life. And it literally did. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And that really changed my life. Hold on, teacher Will, but in our days, regardless of our opinions about money, money has a lot to do with any type of relation. Hadri, I'm not saying it doesn't. It does. I'm just talking about, for me, money's not the important thing. I do think that, side note, sometimes relationships are caused or groomed or whatever by money issues and value of money. So if you're looking to find a husband or wife, a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, money can be the destruct. I mean, typically they say that relationships end, or one of the reasons why relationships end, money, I forget the other two, but money is a factor. So yeah, money makes a difference. Ask me how I know. When I had no money, I was totally in love with this woman. Oh, she didn't want me. But then all of a sudden, when I had a little bit of money, she did. I'm like, oh. So I'm not saying that money is not important, but for me, it's not the most important thing. But I do think that in the aspect of relations and things of that nature, I don't know. Let's ask the learners. If you found somebody that was really nice, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want, whatever your persuasion is, and they didn't necessarily look the best, but then you have the opportunity that some man or some woman is like, financially good, but treats you like crap. There are some people that I know, they didn't marry for love, they married for money. That ain't right, that ain't wrong, that's their life. So money's important. I think what is more important for me though is like, what? That's a judgment. I think for me what's important, that's why I did a video on it, is that, hey, know how money works. And each of you on the call can make a decision in terms of the fact of how much you're going to save, how much you're going to be frugal, how much you're going to be generous, or things of that nature. But know how money works. And there are opportunities to have income or make money or take care of yourself. It does not mean that depending on where you live, or depending on what you look like, or depending on what you believe or don't believe, it might not be harder. But listen, I did a video a long time ago, and I survived on this because my dad taught me this. For those of you that, to Teacher David's point, we do content for you because it's free. So if you have a chance, review it. We know you're important. I did a video. I'm like, hustle hard, hustle fast, because the hustle don't last. And I'm not talking about hustling in terms of hustling your body. That's your business if you do that. I was talking about things that happen in my life. Hustle. I'm a hustler because I've been in a point in my life where I've had no money. And I've been in a point, so it's kind of like, learn how to hustle. Because God forbid, I do not, that's one thing I pride of myself, because something happened to me at a very young age where I said, I will never not have money. And I'm going to do so I know how to hustle. So for those of you that are like, oh, I don't want to know about money, things of that nature, really? Ask yourself the question when you're looking for your husband and your wife. Some of your cultures is like, you got to pay for your wife. You got to pay for your husband. If she ain't got no money, he ain't got no money. And you look. So let's keep it 100 in my definition of 100.
Yeah.
Was that too honest, Teacher David? I'm sorry.
No, we like it. Keep it 101.
No, I just think the thing is, like, let me say this. My uncle is a millionaire. And he's a very humble millionaire. And he's never forgot where he came from. So I love that. But I've noticed, I've had the opportunity, I know a lot of different people. I know a lot of people that don't have money, and I've had the opportunity to hang around people that are millionaires. And what I noticed about that is that people that are rich, or that, and I'm talking financially, people that have their own businesses, people that are entrepreneurs, they're not afraid about talking about money. They're not afraid about talking about finances. And I learned that from rich people, and I learned that from my uncle, and I'm very grateful for that. Because I'm like, no. I'm like, I did a video on it, one of the most powerful videos I ever thought, and I'm like, really? How many views did it get on YouTube? And I don't like views for the sake of views, but I'm like, really? I'm like, I asked the learners, I'm like, Rule of 72 changed my life. And I think that video got like 100 views. Really? Okay. That rule about financial literacy can change your life and can have generational wealth. I think it's important that we talk about generational wealth and money and how what money works and what's an asset and things of that nature. Yeah. So I don't, if I'm William for a minute, I sat back and I was like, you know what? I'm so honest. Oh, I ain't acting like an N. I'm not laughing on the video. I'm not, oh, really? And I gave a wealth of information, not because I think I'm the best, because I'm not, but I'm like, you know what? Someone gave it to me, so I'm going to pay it forward. And that video got 100 views, and we got people walking around up in here that don't know how to pay a bill. Okay.
And wait,
just saying,
when you have a video like that up, and there's people still messaging you and saying, Teacher Will, what do I need to do to be able to pay my bills or be able to?
But that, you know what, Teacher David? Can I be William for a minute? Can I really be William for a minute?
No,
that ain't my responsibility. You know what, David? That's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
I let that go. And I'm going to be honest, I've never said that. When I did that video on live Instagram about Rule 72, that was I have favorite videos that I've done, right? But that video to me was like, you know what? I've done what I was supposed to do because I want to be of service and get back. And when that video had low count, I was like, you know what? Let it go, William. Why are you getting mad at people for not looking at that information? Because you know what? I expect, not everybody, not everyone. So let me be clear.
Yeah.
I expected that not to get high hits.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's talking about maybe it's too real. See, the thing about live Instagrams and videos, and one of the things that I've wrestled with and I thought about, and I'm like, I've got to be me. As I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you English, but I'm going to give you English my way. And I'm talking about life. When people say to me, they want to know more about, we want to know more about you, Teacher Will. Really? Look at my videos, because a lot of them are autobiographical, ladies and gentlemen. So when that video came up, or when people, this is my thing, Teacher David, you know what? This is what I do. When that video about Rule of 72 came out, or you asked an earlier question about like, what's the difference between past, simple, present, perfect, things of that nature, I'm going to say it's not what I say, it's how I say it. I'm like, listen, I've done a video on it. You said it beautifully. English are at your fingertips. But I expect now that a lot of people don't look at content, and that ain't my responsibility. Because I'm still going to change the face of English with them. I want to do it with them or without them. But most people, not everybody, if I keep it 100, most people, if you ask, like, they have a choice. They do the like. But I'm like, really? Okay. But that's not my responsibility because I've given back. Yeah. Some people are lazy. Some people want to be spoon-fed, like you said. I will never, it is not my job to spoon-feed anybody.
Yeah.
There are teachers out there for that, and that's fine. But I'm going to give you the information.
Wait,
what you do with it is on you.
Are there teachers out there who will do that?
I know of some, but that's fine. You know what? Because my thing is, I'm like, I can only be responsible for me.
Yeah.
So when I do a video, listen, I respect and I value anybody that gives me a like and takes the time or whatever like that. I really appreciate that. But I said it on a live Instagram yesterday. Oh my God, I played a game. I was like, we're going to talk about Ask Teacher Will. I did this video. It's a phrasal verb. And it means, to escape prison or to get out of war, 2 countries engaged in war. Anybody remember the video? There was silence.
Yeah.
And the phrasal verb was break out. Now, my thing is, I'm like, that ain't on me. But I did say, I did it because I'm not going to be a hypocrite to myself. I was like, Teacher William, do these people look at the content information that I do? Or do they just click on like? Because the information's free. But maybe they don't do it. But that ain't on me. Because I've let all that go. Because I'm not responsible for that. What I'm responsible for is to be of service, to be authentic, to hopefully change the face of English, and to make other people do it. And that's it.
I want to add this to that. You know what? I got to be honest and say I don't think I've ever used the L word, which is lazy. But for sure as hell, I've thought of using that word so many times. In direct messages when replying to people, because. I mean, when when somebody messages me and says, "Teacher, I don't understand this," or I don't know what this word means," and then they also in the same series of message or in the same set of messages they say, "I don't know why I'm not becoming fluent." I'm so tempted to say, although I don't, I usually kind of say, "Hey, go watch the video," or you look it up on Google is what I usually say. But I'm so tempted to say the reason why you are not becoming fluent, the reason why you are stuck on your current level of English is because you are lazy. Is because
May I ask you a question,
refuse...
Teacher David?
Yeah.
Why don't you
Yeah.
see that again? See, that's why some people don't like me. Like my
Yeah.
thing is this: I like again, we do things in different ways, right? So like
Yeah.
sometimes I've learned to give like tough, like when people say, "Oh, you go savage," and I'm like, "Oh, I go too
Yeah.
savage," and they're like, "What's the matter?" And they're like, but my thing is this: I'm like, you know what? Listen, social media. This is my last thing about this. Social media is a wonderful thing. I love it. I respect it. It has its good and its bad. But I do believe that social media has made some people lazy. And I believe in my own sense of integrity, I'm going to call them on it. Because my thing is, I'm like, really? Really? Now, I might joke about it at times, or I might be serious about it sometimes, but I do think there are times, and I do like you, I'll be like, hey, you know what, look it up on Google. I did a video on it, research it yourself. But I do think sometimes is that depending on the mood I'm in, I'm not trying to sugarcoat nothing, because I do think sometimes on social media, everybody's trying, I'm gonna say something. I mean, no disrespect.
Say what's on your mind, Teacher Will.
I'm trying to be respected. I'm appreciated if I'm liked. Respect me for the work that I do and the contribution that I'm trying to make. And being liked and being loved is a byproduct. But I would rather be respected. And sometimes I'm going to give you tough love, because you want to know why? Because everybody in the world ain't going to treat you nice. In my life, everybody ain't going to treat you nice. Everybody ain't going to care about you. Some people will close the door and lock you face and stuff. And then you think that some people on here think, oh my God, that Teacher David has nothing else to do. Did a video on it. Why? Learners, do you recognize which is their right to do? So I'm not judging. My thing is this: I choose. People send me a direct message, I choose to answer it. That's my decision. Some people do, some people don't. I don't care about that. I'm talking about me. But education is a two-way street. Social media has made some people lazy and entitled. You know what? Stop being lazy, because you know what? You might be in a situation, ladies and gentlemen, or at least I was. That's why some videos are autobiographical, where I'm like, you know what? Like when I get a point across, I'm like, oh, you know what, Teacher Will? When I do a video, I'm talking to myself because I don't want to offend anybody. Oh, Teacher Will, why are you being so lazy? Why aren't you looking it up? Hell yeah, I'm talking to some of the followers. But if I say it that way, they might get offended. Yo, I'm going to give tough love sometimes, because you know what? The world is a blessing. The world is a beautiful place, but sometimes people in the world is cruel. The world doesn't change. The world doesn't change. People change the world. And so therefore, for me is, I'm going to call somebody lazy from time to time, because the world doesn't change. People change the world. It's like, you know what? You ask some people to share your contact information and they can't even do that. But yet they'll complain. Not everybody, but it's free. You can't. Yo, the world doesn't change. People change the world. So for me, I'm going to call people lazy on it, because sometimes they need tough love, and I'm no better than anybody else. If people sat on I'm sorry, let me shut up and say this. If people sat on my life, or my people that loved me or spiritual mentored me, I would rather have somebody look me in the face. One of my second dad said to me, excuse me, because this is what he said to me. He said, nigga, have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind thinking? And had to give me some tough love. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I love you enough to tell you this. Nigga, have you lost your mind? I'm not calling anybody a nigga. I'm talking about what was said to me. So my thing is, I'm like, yo, the way I teach, the way I view I'm like, yo, sometimes you have to give tough love, thinking that everything, and nobody owes me nothing. Nobody owes you nothing. And if you think that you're owed something, oh, don't be like Teacher Will. Let me talk about my damn self. I woke up one day and realized, you know what? And I think I didn't share this with you. I don't expect nothing from my learners. I hope and I pray, but I don't expect nothing. I expect from myself, because once I come to expect, except for myself, no. So yeah, I've called my learners lazy sometimes, and maybe that's why people don't love me, or they don't like me, or they don't respect me. But I'm like, you know what? Hey, you ain't gotta follow me.
Yeah.
If you want to choose to be around teachers or content providers that are like, oh yes, life is grand, life is well, you know what? Life is well. But then you have a choice. Because I'm not wired that way.
Yeah.
I'm not wired that way. For me.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. I'm glad you said that, Teacher Will. I gotta admit, I'm gonna be completely honest here. I gotta admit, there was once a video that I made, and I spent a good amount of time recording it, editing it. It was ready. It was all put together, it was ready to upload, and I never put it up.
Why?
Because I didn't have the balls to do it. I didn't have the balls to
Okay.
deal with or how it was gonna be received. And the other thing is, I guess, I think there's two things. One is I didn't have the balls to do it, and secondly, I wasn't entirely comfortable with the spirit with which I made the video.
That's
If you know what I
fair.
mean. If you know what I
No,
mean.
I do. That's fair.
Because I
No,
think
yeah.
that, like, the moment, the moment that I decided to make the video and I started recording it and everything, it was really like a knee-jerk reaction to some stuff that I got in my inbox, in my direct messages.
Right. Right.
And and that was, and that's not the first time that I've done something like that, where I've decided to post something and then felt really sick about it, and felt embarrassed about it. But this time, fortunately, I didn't even upload it. But there's been times in the past where I've done some pretty nasty things on social media, done some pretty I guess malicious things to other social media pages, and then within, I don't know, within a day or something, I decided to apologize and take down, retract what I said or what I posted.
Right.
But yeah, that was one of those things. I think right now, after having this conversation, I'm inspired to one, be more honest, and more down to earth and frank with what I want to say, with my message, because and at the same time to do it with the right spirit. I think I'm going to redo that video, same content, but do it with the right heart.
See, Teacher David, you know what? It's interesting because, first of all, I respect the fact that you're honest enough and you're humble enough to recognize and realize that you do that. That's number one. Number two, we're all human. I mean, I think, I'm a human being. I mean, what you see as Teacher Will is part of me, but it's not all of me. So I respect the fact that, you were humble enough to do it. The last point I would say is this, again, we learn together. There are things that I love, and that's a theme for me. So when you say inspiration starts within. Whether or not you decide to do it or not, that's up to you. My only suggestion to you is something that at least I think about. Like for example, one video that I made was by a nasty message about there was a misconception or misunderstanding between myself and a learner. And said some things about me via DM that made assumptions, things of that nature. And one of my second favorite videos came from it. And one of the things I did is that I was like you. I almost had a knee jerk reaction, and I was like, "Okay, snap out of it, William." But this video that I did was because of him. So I like the aspect where that's one of the reasons why I ask for feedback. Like, I want to know things that I do well and know what I want to do that can be area development, because I get inspired by that. So at the end of the day, it's not a question of you being more, let me say it like this, honesty and openness and taking at least for me, evolves in times. And as long as you have, at least for me, I always, when I post a video and think about things that I want to do, I'm like, okay, what's the intent? And if my intent is something that's coming from not a place of judgment or hurt, then I'm fine. But I will
Yeah.
admit, oh,
Yeah.
I've done some over 300 videos that I've done. I'm humble enough to do, and I'm blessed enough to do. Oh, I've done some videos where I've still got my point across. But I've said this to my learners. Oh, no, no, no. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So for me, I will
Yeah.
not lose my authenticity. But if something's really on my mind, I'm going to say it in the way that is honest to myself and yet not trying to consciously hurt somebody, because I'm not responsible for, like, for me, as if I put a video out there, and I believe that it's not consciously trying to hurt you, I don't know what the reaction is, but I know I have the proper intent. Maybe, and that's
Yeah.
what, at least when I think about it as teacher, well, that's what I want. Yeah, English is to me about grammar and phrasal verbs and collocations and idioms and all of that stuff. But the way I view my mission, it's about life. It's about understanding. It's about accepting of oneself. It's about all of those things. And so I hope that people see that through my videos. And again, that's not everybody's cup of tea. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I got to be me.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Teacher Will, is it okay with you if I switch gears just a little bit? I mean, I did want to
Yes.
ask you this other thing before we run out of time.
Sure.
What is something that you have spent your money on that you think or actually, let me ask you the other one. What is something that you think is a completely idiotic way of spending your money, a stupid way of spending your money? But
Oh,
that a lot of
buying,
people
like,
do.
oh, sure. Oh, yeah, yeah. For me,
Yeah.
I'm not really a shoe well, let me be more specific. I think I own 2 sneakers, one for the gym and one for everyday wear. So I'm not really the type of person that will spend money on sneakers. That's just not what I grew up with. I was not allowed to wear sneakers except for gym.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Well,
for me, spending like, maybe 200 real for sneakers. I'm not really, I don't understand people that, and again, it's their choice. I don't understand people, like, I have friends and family members. Oh, I spent $500 on sneakers. I'm like, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, that's stupid. It's their money, but no, I'm not really
okay.
that type of person to spend money on sneakers. No, stupid. For me.
All right. Teacher Will, what is the meanest thing that you have called somebody that you are comfortable to say on this live?
I can't say that online.
No. What's the meanest thing that you've called someone that you are also comfortable sharing with us?
Oh, no, the thing I wanted to
Yeah.
say is I was like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't, okay, that I'm comfortable. I can bleep it out. You've lost your beep, 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 mind.
Okay.
And you might want to think about what you do, because karma is a biatch.
Okay. Yep. All right. That's good. Now, what is something that you would totally love to spend your money on, that you might splurge on, that a lot of other people, that a sizable majority might consider wasteful, or might consider shocking?
2 things came to mind. Comic books, because I haven't bought one in a very long time. Old
Yep.
comic books, because to me they're an investment later. And
Yep.
Well, I don't know if a vacation counts, but a vacation. Like an
Okay.
exotic vacation, a vacation. Because I
Yeah.
love to travel.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this one other thing. Now, this one I have to ask you, right? Can you
Sure.
fill in the blank? All right. If you
Okay.
just imagine that you agree with this sentence, and you most probably don't agree with the sentence, but just for the sake, just for the fun of it, money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you a blank, and that's pretty much the same thing.
Money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you. Money can't buy you happiness, but it'll buy you influence. And money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you. power in quotation marks.
And that's
Perceived
pretty much the
power.
same thing.
Yeah, perceived power.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
money can't
If
buy happiness, but it can buy I would say influence.
yeah. Yeah.
And it can
And
buy
for
you a
those
good
who
date as
can,
well.
oh yeah. And for those who value those things, I guess that would make them happy, at least for as long as they're able to make use of it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, we've got like I don't want to get cut off. We've got like what 4 minutes
Oh,
before we
okay.
probably do
Oh
get
my
cut off.
goodness, time flies with you, Teacher David. You're a very good host. Wow, you're the bomb.
Thank you, Teacher Will. I will take that. I'm feeling pretty explosive tonight. Um, t-
Okay, listen, we got
I've
four
been
minutes.
I've been doing bad puns all week. I'm just in that
No, I like
dad
that pun.
joke
That pun
mode
is
right
good.
now.
No, I enjoy this side of you, Teacher David. I really do. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it with me and your other learners. Let me say this, brother man, listen, I appreciate you. Continue blessings and doing the great work that you're doing. And if you ever need me, I'm here. You know that I've said that to you before. Learners, what I'm going to do is either after the call or when I get home, because I'm still at work, I'm going to post his insight video. So if you haven't seen it, please check it out. Please subscribe to his channel. Please subscribe to my channel. And let me say this with 30 seconds left. Yo, this man is on, you'll find out on Insight where he is. So he's on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and all this other stuff. If you say that you respect Teacher David, right, then walk the walk and talk the talk. And if you have not subscribed or let anybody know of one of his channels, then do that. I believe that action is a true thing. If you appreciate me, if you value me or like the work that I do, then you know what? Let somebody know about Speak Like David, and then that way, whoa, because we really believe, I believe that we learn together, and sharing is caring. Some of y'all are just selfish and don't want to share his information. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that? Thank you for
Yeah,
having
yeah,
me.
yeah. And the same goes for you, Teacher Will. I'm not going to repeat everything that you just said, but those of you who do appreciate Teacher Will's content, if you're watching his videos and you're learning from it, you're benefiting from them, don't keep that to yourself. You know, there's a little button that's shaped like an arrow with a line through it. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's a share button. Hit that button. Share Teacher Will's videos on your stories. Send it to a friend. Send it to your girlfriend. Send it to somebody you hate, an enemy, whatever.
Oh, send it to the enemy. That's it. Send it to my enemy. I like it. And
Yeah,
listen, send it to my enemy and kill him with kindness, y'all. All y'all people talk about revenge. Best revenge. I keep telling my life. Best revenge is to get ahead. Kill him with kindness. Teacher David, very quickly. Hadri 1976 said, David is special. He liked your insight video.
Hadri, thank you so much for watching that video. I appreciate it. Hey, Teacher Will, I want to just say one more thing publicly, and I want to say this because it's important. I know you appreciate me, and I am. It always warms my heart. It makes my day when I get compliments and appreciation from you, Teacher Will. It means a lot to me. But I want you to know that everything that I am right now on social media, or a large part of it at least, it is a product and a result of the investment that other teachers in the community who've been doing it longer than me, people like you, people like Teacher Ivan, Licinia, the list goes on. There's a huge list of teachers who, when I had like barely even 1,000 followers, you know, nobody knew who I was, and all of you guys showed me what it meant to make this a positive community. And what I've been doing since right from the start, just because I started receiving kindness when I was still new, I've really just been paying it forward. So everything that this page is right now, and all of my attitude towards how I run my page, how I'm not competitive and all of that stuff, because I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but all of that is really thanks to people like you. So thank you, Teacher Will. And I
Pleasure's
want you to
mine,
know
brother,
that
and that's the. No,
I'm saying
I
that because I
appreciate.
want you to know that all of the efforts that you're making, it's actually bearing fruit. It's going on to bear fruit, and this is in one of those. This is just one example of that.
Brother, I appreciate that. And my thing is, I'm like, yo, it's the one who endures to the end. And my thing is, I mean, for people that laugh at me when I say, yo, we learn together and sharing is caring and don't compete, My thing is this, there will be a day when learners will, and extended family will look back, and when I say change the face of English, they'll laugh. The beautiful thing is we're doing it now. I appreciate that, and I'm humbled by that compliment, and that's what it's all about. You don't, final comment, the world